So welcome to this special edition of PCDcast. We're here on the sunny terrace at the Radisson Blu Santon. I'm here with Mark Brooks. Welcome, Mark.
It's great to be here, David, for the second time with PCD Club in Johannesburg. So we've had a fantastic time so far.
What a week it's been, Mark. I mean, we started off in Cape Town, had a wonderful few days there, interesting receptions and meetings. Had a great reception last night here in Johannesburg. Tell us a bit about the week.
So the week started fantastically with an amazing sunrise on the waterfront at Cape Town, and we visited two schools who are really interested in UK boarding schools I brought with me. Then we had a reception in the evening, and it was a fantastic turnout and great networking opportunities, lots of interest in education.
And we've worked a lot together over the last 18 months, and we've found that it really has unlocked huge value. I mean, what's your perspective on how you can work with the wealth sector advisors from the education perspective?
Well, firstly, working with PCD Club has given me a new lease of life and real dynamism. And we really enjoy working with you, David, and the rest of the team who are really fantastic. But also meeting the high net worth advisors has been brilliant because they've been approaching me saying their families have been looking for school, they've been moving to Switzerland or the UK or even America, not knowing where to turn or how to help. And I've been able to provide solutions for them and to work with their families. And the families are happy and the advisors are happy. And sometimes it's delayed moving and the tax advice that we're able to give because of the lack of schooling advice. And now we're able to solve that for anywhere.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the business. I mean, you're a marketing expert in the education sector. Tell us how you sort of started and grew the business.
Well, I started in education about 20 years ago, and I used to work at a school called Kingham Hill School in Oxfordshire, where I was marketing director and admissions director for 4 years, working with families. And I did an MBA in that time, which focused on how parents choose an independent school. Then I became a marketing consultant working for 100 different schools altogether, and long-term retained consultancy with Rodine and King's Canterbury and some other major names. And for the last 16 years, I've been focusing on placing families from West Africa into UK boarding schools and placed about 70 a year.
So you make multiple trips a year, don't you, to Nigeria and Ghana? Interesting markets to develop. I mean, tell us about how you went going about specifically building those markets.
Well, the story is interesting because I was working for a recruitment company and recruiting a head of a school for Lagos Prep School in Nigeria. And I flew in and only spent 24 hours in Nigeria, but I fell in love with the people, the country, and the personality type is exactly like mine, like anything is possible and let's work together and make things come true. And started returning. And parents were asking me about schools, because I know about 150 schools altogether in the UK, and it grew from there.
And one of the unique things about what you do is you look across the spectrum of education options in the UK and can help families. They can come to you and you can find the right fit, isn't it? So you're not representing any one particular school, it's looking at across the board.
Yes, I work with 150 different schools, and we have a magazine which lists a lot of those schools as well. But the main thing is getting to know the family, getting to know the child, getting to know what the child's ambitions are and potential is, what their abilities are, and getting the right fit for the school and the family.
And you've built a terrific database on this. Newsletter has great distribution. It's something as well we've been working on together, isn't it, to work out where there's opportunities for PCD Club members who want profile with parents, specifically around certain areas of financial advice. Is a logical fit there, isn't there?
I guess it's combining my marketing background along with, because I used to work with the Financial Times in financial industry as well. So my marketing background and my parent placement background. So we do a lot of communication. So we have a weekly LinkedIn newsletter, which 2,300 subscribers. That's emailed to 3,800 parents every week. Then we have a magazine listing 60 or so boarding schools, adverts from private wealth advisors, and that goes to 100,000 people and mainly families every 6 months.
That's quite some reach. And you're also an export champion, so you work with the UK government selling overseas. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, 3 years ago, the Department for Business and Trade recognised what I was doing in Nigeria specifically, because I'm not just recruiting families from the UK to the UK. I'm helping British schools exhibit and attend events that I organise there and raise the profile of the Department for Business and Trade and what they do. And so I was made an export champion, which means that they support everything I do practically and in terms of PR. So the magazine we produce is in association with the Department for Business and Trade, which is one of the first publications they've ever supported outside the DBT. And we have fantastic relationships with DPT and high commissions around the world as well. And I've just been renewed for the next 12 months.
Fantastic. All power to you. And South Africa's a sort of new market for you, in a sense, is an add-on to what you're doing in West Africa. What's your assessment of the week we've had here, and will you be coming back to South Africa?
Well, I'll definitely be coming back and wouldn't mind staying a bit longer as well. It's been fantastic. The interest is amazing. But I think it's important to come back to develop the relationships that we're developing. So we were here with PCD Club in November 22, which was fantastic. Last night we had people attending who are at the reception who are at that event as well. And it's developing relationships, trust with the high net worth advisors, and also with the families as well that we have placed. They've been coming back and responding to us and visiting. And we've been meeting parents yesterday who are looking for boarding school places for their children for this September and also next September.
Great. And you're very innovative with your use of video as well. I mean, we're great video content creators, but you definitely seem to enjoy making video, and you've made it a core part of your business. I mean, tell us how you use video and what you think dimension that gives you in the marketing field.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I use basic equipment, although I've just bought new equipment, but I think it's helping schools to communicate their DNA to prospective parents. And the only way of doing that is through video, I think, because you get the personality of the speaker or the head, or you get insights and impromptu kind of comments that you just don't get from anything that's written. So our magazine has got 55 videos embedded in it, as well as text about schools, so they can click and open the video if they don't want to read about it. And I film about 2 or 3 videos a week, interviews with schools, and they're seen by hundreds of people.
Fabulous. Well, thank you, Mark. I'm now going to speak to each of the 3 schools that has joined us on this terrific week in South Africa, starting with Lindi Smit from LVS Ascot. Lindi, it's been great to spend the week with you. What have been your highlights from this trip?
Well, good to see you again, David. Obviously, we've seen a lot of each other so far this week. Highlight of the trip for me has been back home. Seeing families again and getting reminded of my own childhood, and seeing how we can do some work with some of the South African families.
Fantastic. So we've had a couple of receptions so far this week and meetings. What have been your sense of the opportunities, the interest and demand for UK education options?
I think particularly for families who are having to transfer for work for a variety of reasons, whether that's for short-term or long-term, this is a huge opportunity for them to find out exactly what they can do for their children and their families, and getting an understanding of the UK education system and how it slots into what their children are experiencing right now.
Fantastic. And for advisors listening into this, tell us a little bit about LVS Ascot in a nutshell.
Sure. We can talk for days about LVS, but LVS Ascot is a day and boarding co-educational school down in the heart of Berkshire, so 10 minutes from Windsor, 20 minutes from Heathrow, and easy to get into London with the new Elizabeth line. We have children from the age of 4 to 18, and we offer the GCSE and A-level program in the senior school.
Fantastic. And we've been on the road with Mark Brooks Education this week. You travel quite extensively anyway. I mean, which sort of places do you tend to go to meet parents and families looking at UK education options?
I've had about 7 trips since January.
Wow.
So it's been a busy start. Yeah, it's the busy start of the year. My husband did say, "Are you done now?" I said, "Well, for this academic year, it's up until September." But yes, so we have been. Asia is always a good market, so we've been in Hong Kong, China, Nigeria, Mexico, Colombia, and now in sunny South Africa.
And your head teacher, Christine, is often featured in the media. Where might people have caught an appearance from Christine?
Christine regularly winds Jeremy Kyle up on TV, not on the Jeremy Kyle show, but on Talk TV, as well as GB News, ITV. She's done a lot of education correspondence. She might be remembered as the lady who took on Grant Shapps during the COVID exam debacle. So, but yeah, you can find her on YouTube, online, search GB News, Talk TV, you will find Christine.
Fantastic. Well, I'd encourage people to look up LVS Ascot and find out a bit more, but thank you, Lindi.
No problem. Thank you so much, David.
So, Sarah Travis from TASIS England, great to talk to you again today. Have you had a good week this week in South Africa?
It's been fantastic so far, David, yes.
And we're talking about marketing and education. I talked with Mark about the value of bringing this conversation to professionals dealing with high net worth clients. Have you enjoyed interacting with some of the advisors and parents this week, trying to explore where you can do business together?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been an awful lot of interest and enthusiasm, and it's been really good to reach out to sort of various people to sort of, let them know about education in the UK and how it might benefit them or how we can work together.
Fantastic. And tell us a little bit about TASIS England.
TASIS is an international school, just on the outskirts of London, very close to Heathrow. We're co-educational, teach from 3 to 18, and we're a day and boarding school.
And how do you do most of your marketing? Are you out doing fairs, getting on the ground and meeting people? What are your most important marketing channels?
Yes, I travel a lot overseas to various different countries. We also do a lot of work within the UK, networking with businesses and people who are related to the sector. So it really is sort of multifaceted, really.
Okay, fantastic. And it's your first trip to South Africa?
It is,
How have you found it?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. It's a fantastic country. Cape Town and Johannesburg are very different, I found, but equally amazing. And I look forward to returning.
Thank you very much. Nice to talk to you. And finally, Henrietta Lightwood, it's been great to spend the week with you, Henrietta. Have you enjoyed the week in South Africa?
Oh, David, I've had a fantastic time. South Africa is just the most wonderful, growing, vibrant, exciting country. And we've had some really interesting meetings with a variety of different people. Education is really something that I think a lot of parents are very interested in, obviously for their children. Whether they're coming to study in the UK, for instance, in terms of boarding schools, or whether the whole family is moving over normally to somewhere around London or the southeast of England. So I think the thing for me that has been an opportunity for South African families is that sometimes to go to the very top universities, they don't realise they need to come slightly earlier. And understanding that, I think, is going to be a key facet for them going to top universities around the world. And also that there's good pathway opportunities between the South African curriculum and UK universities through foundation courses. And these are kind of fast-track, cheaper options, if you like, which people can do either at a September or a January start to fit in with the Southern Hemisphere curriculum.
Because you've got to give people the information, haven't they? And getting on the ground and actually having events like we did last night really sets out the things people need to consider. You can't do it necessarily in any other way than getting on the ground.
Well, that's exactly correct, really. And understanding what people know and what people don't know sometimes, and where we can kind of help fill in the gaps, and also what we don't know. It's not a one-way thing. And I think whenever you come, and it's very important to come into a market which is a new market, because you can't possibly understand what's important to people, or how you can help unless you've been somewhere. So I think with South Africa, and Johannesburg is very different in culture to Cape Town, for instance, I've found. Knowing that, we've been able to kind of slot in a bit and actually work out where the opportunities are to work with different businesses, to work with tuition companies. And we've made some very good contacts with different tuition companies, to work with educational advisors, for instance, and indeed visiting some fantastic schools. Again, who want some help with university guidance, for instance, and pathways through.
And Duke's Education Group, in a nutshell?
Duke's Education Group is the fastest growing educational group in the UK. It's got 65 schools, with ranging from kind of nurseries and prep schools right up to kind of very great boarding schools, and some of the best boarding schools in the UK, actually. And
in terms of your marketing, I mean, what in your career in education, what are some of the most important channels for you? How do you look at your marketing mix and how you reach parents?
I think relationship marketing and storytelling have been probably two of the most kind of interesting elements, really. In the international marketing, I mean, there's a lot of work done digitally, for instance, and a lot of kind of websites and content provided. But actually speaking to people, understanding people and their needs and their requirements, nothing beats personal recommendation, for instance, or personal relationships.
Fabulous. Well, great to talk to you today and look forward to finishing off the week in style.
Thank you very much for having us, David.
So thank you for joining this special edition of PCDcast from the Radisson Hotel in Sandton, Johannesburg. Hope you tune in next time.